We're live. So let me hop over to my other browser. Multiple browsers. Shit's happening. All right, I sent the link out. It's the first time we've used this app to actually stream live. So let me click on the view on YouTube link. Ah, okay.
Yeah, when I did mine on Monday, it took a lot to figure out.
Yeah, it seemed like it was there, but I'm not watching currently. Although I could. Let me. I could see because I'm logged into us on YouTube on my TV. So I wonder if it shows up there, and if anyone is already logged on there. It's not already on YouTube. It's not on my TV YouTube, but it's on YouTube. So. Whatever. Welcome. Oh shit! I gotta get my notes up. Welcome.
Oh.
This is episode 171 of the Illustrious Gentleman. That's comic book artist and Prince of Gilbert, Arizona, Scott Godleski to my right, and I'm comic artist and the Ginger Limper, Ryan Cody here on your left. I'm really zoomed in here, but I'm at the Southern Villa, and so there's like pillow, like the bed's right there because it's a studio apartment. So I zoomed in close. So you didn't have to see like the refrigerator, the bed, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can follow the Illustrious Gentleman on Twitter and Instagram at TIG_show. All of the past episodes are available at anchor.fm/TIG show or any of those big podcatcher sites, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Tune In, Real Player, wherever. If you enjoy the show, leave us a review. Tell your friends, 5-star review. Tell your friends, support the show at patreon.com/TIG show. Go to tigshow.com, click on the links at the top, figure out how to support the show. So this is kind of, if you are a Patreon, if you're a patron on Patreon, yes. This is the magic you could get. Is normally we record the video version of this and it's posted just for patrons early.
This is a free sample.
It's a free sample. It's like you give them a little bit and they keep coming back for more. You get them hooked. So you can get hooked on my giant pink face right now and Scott's beautifully lit. Did you buy like a ring light? Did you buy like some video setup? Because you're lit.
Yeah.
You're lit.
I got a whole rig.
Yeah.
Got dampener. And...
Sweet. Once again, some soft lighting. Once again, I tweaked the Patreon again. I got rid of a $12 level and made it a $10 level. And at the $10 level, you can you can sponsor an episode. So if you have a Kickstarter going and you want to sponsor one episode, if you just want to buy
the rage.
Yeah, it's kind of like our old buy us around kind of contribution. If you just want to buy us a couple beers, send us $10. We'll give you a shout out on the show, all that cool shit. If you're not a patron subscriber, or if you're not on that site, you can also just PayPal us directly, acmexpo@gmail.com. We'll promote you just like if you were a patron. Business aside, I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to drink because it's a morning show. What kind of piece of shit drinks at 9 a.m. in the morning? I'm on my second gin and juice double because it's a morning show. But I'm also
got two thumbs and is drinking at 9 a.m.
That's right. This guy.
This piece of shit. We did it already.
And I also have iced coffee. So my official drink for the show is Stoke brand iced coffee. You can get it at any grocery store. It is the Stoke, S-T-O-K, with not an umlaut, but a line across the O, above the O.
Right.
It's the bee's knees. I mean, it is the best iced coffee I've ever had.
I think I had one of those a few months ago.
Cool story. And you're probably having just warm, great value brand coffee, I would imagine.
Folgers.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Yeah. Cream and sugar or just straight up?
No, it's got French vanilla creamer.
Oh, I like you a little less now. Look at you. We both
got the whoosh going this morning, and I dig it.
We both got
little wave.
We both got like self faux hawks going on.
Oh yeah, I haven't tried it.
Yeah.
I could do it, bro.
Oh, I did it this morning and it was pretty sweet. But
oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. So my only TikTok thing I've got going on is I haven't watched anything, although the English Premier League's back. So if you want to watch NBC Sports during the day, you could watch some English football. But the couple of the podcasts I listen to, the bro podcasts, I call them, have become problematic recently because they're like bro, like anti-mask, like don't believe the media. Like, so I've stopped listening to most of the podcasts. Yes. So one thing I did do was I downloaded an app called Simple Radio, and then I just Google like what's the best alternative radio station in Ireland. And so now I listen to like old 90s Britpop coming out of like Dublin and shit. So now I have like radio stations I can flip through on this app and I can just listen to the radio. And I forgot how soothing that is to just listen to the radio. Like even when the commercials come on, it's all background noise. You don't have to watch anything. You don't have to pay attention.
Takes the decision making out of your hands.
Yeah. And even with like a podcast, I feel like I want to listen to it because I'm going to miss something. But with the radio, you don't have to pay attention to it. So it's great. So yeah, a couple of radio stations out of Dublin, radio station out of Phoenix here, kwss.org. Shout out to those dudes. So yeah, it's great. EPL, English Premier League, is doing this thing where they're piping in noise from the video game, the crowd noise from the video game into the TV feed. And it's actually way more soothing than you would think. Because if you're not, because, when I'm working and I'm watching the game, I'm not always watching the game. It's in the background. So I can hear the commentators and still hear a crowd, even though the crowd's not really there. It only gets weird when like a goal is scored because obviously it's not matched up. So like when a goal scored, the announcers.
So there's not somebody like when they proposed this stuff for American sports, right? I imagine there was going to be somebody that had a full soundboard that would be live, sort of pushing buttons.
A goal scored.
Goals, or a hit, home run, or something.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that. You would have to be so good at the game, and you'd have to play someone who's so bad that they would just let you walk up and get ready to score.
But you don't need to use a video.
Oh,
game.
right.
Why pay EA Sports? I mean, all of these networks have millions and millions of hours worth of footage already. Just go through and pick out 50 different sounds, sit some guy down in front of a soundboard on his fucking iPad, and he could just push buttons.
Yeah, the thing that I think that makes the English Premier League one good is that they can obviously set up the video game to play a home game wherever the real game's being played. So you hear the chants for like Man City, or you hear the chants for whatever. So it's I don't know. I dig it. I know some people don't love it. I dig it. I watched a couple fights of boxing just because I'm dying for any live sports. And they're doing this thing where you can log into an ESPN app and you can like watch the fights and cheer the fights, and then they'll play them during the fights. But they play them so low that like you're watching a fight and it's just like.
But are they playing all, however many people, 50,000?
It sounds like they're
voice bits at once.
Come on, dude.
That's a good idea, though.
They're shitty top rank cards, but yeah, they're playing. I don't know what they're playing, but it just sounds like you're walking through like a crappy downtown. Like it's just like random noise. You can't really tell that anyone's cheering for anybody. It's not good. What I'm saying, top rank.
This is the future of sports
for the next couple of years.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy a virtual ticket to watch the games. They're not going to be on major networks.
Ooh, I didn't think about that. Like you have to buy like an ice pass. Well, no, because you still have your TV deals. Fox Sports Arizona is still going to show Coyotes games next year, even if there's no crowd. They're still going to air those games. TV rights aren't paid off.
I like my idea.
Ticket idea. Yeah, it needs some work, but sure. So yeah, that's me. Have you been doing anything in the last week plus? Watching anything? Listening to anything?
started the Netflix show Lost in Space with the kids.
With the worst part of Deadwood.
Enough.
Yeah, the worst part of Deadwood's in there, but that's okay.
Oh, right. Molly Parker. That's where I've seen her.
Yeah.
Now, I forget who you mentioned, but I think Molly Parker might be the most attractive older woman in Hollywood. But when I say older, I mean older than me, which is old. I don't know what she's at. I don't know if she's north of 50 yet.
Oh my God, she's probably like 38.
She's 40, definitely 40 something.
All right, this is what we're here for, this content. Hey Google, how old is actress Molly Parker?
Because in the show she has teenage children, and she's a scientist, so she didn't make mistakes in her youth.
No, you're right. She's 47, so she's older than
47.
me.
47, yeah.
Yeah, I find her very unattractive. Like, she bothers me when I see her on screen.
Oh wow.
Maybe it's because I hated her character in Deadwood so much that it just becomes offensive when I see her.
Good on that show.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Not Deadwood. I don't remember Deadwood, but Lost in Space.
I find her annoying on Lost in Space too. But you know what? That's fine.
She's definitely got a stick up her ass.
Is it problematic for us to talk about?
I just muted.
Is it problematic for us to talk about attractive women if they're older than us and we're praising them? Because it's like we're being jerks. Like, oh, we're so shocked to see an attractive 47-year-old. Let's talk about it. But I don't think. I think good for them.
I mean, Jason Momoa didn't have his shirt off for half of Aquaman for us.
Right. Right. Speaking of Jason Momoa, funny thing. My wife started watching the Hulu version of High Fidelity. They made a series about it instead of the movie, and they gender swapped a lot of the characters. So the main character is now a woman, and it's played by Zoe Kravitz, your future Catwoman. But it's funny because her mom was in the High Fidelity movie, Lisa Bonet, and then one of the Hulu commercials they run during the High Fidelity show is the Rocket Mortgage commercial with Jason Momoa, her stepdad, and Lisa Bonet, her mom. And I told my wife, this might be one of my favorite commercials of the last decade.
Jason Momoa is her husband.
No, Jason Momoa is Lisa Bonet's husband. It's Zoe Kravitz's stepfather. That's a fact.
Oh.
Jason Momoa is Zoe Kravitz's stepfather.
Oh, I thought they were married.
No, he's married to her mother, Lisa Bonet, a Cosby kid.
I don't think I've ever had less interest in anything that ever came out of my mouth.
But the best, I have. But the best part, I like that Rocket Mortgage commercial because he's like pulling off his muscles and he's like super skinny underneath. Yeah, Google it, everybody. But I find it interesting that that's the commercial they play during. I mean, I know it's just how things work out. It's just advertising, but it was funny.
Sure. Speaking of Jason Momoa, I watched.
Maybe that's what I'll call my gin and juice. I got a Jason.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Justice League because it's on Hulu Movies, so I put that on.
Wait, is that free with just regular Hulu, or is that an add-on?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I watched it with commercials. We talked about this. I watched it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So
this should be good.
Yeah, it's a frustrating movie for sure. I don't know. I can't imagine a 4-hour-long version with a darker tone and more stuff being better.
Right.
Still, the thing that bothers me the most is the Flash's lightning being blue. I just don't get it.
That's what bothers you. Not that a speedster is wearing armor. It's that his lightning is blue.
I get it for like friction purposes and stuff, even though his costume looks ridiculous. All the little pieces and stuff, like for
yeah.
Yeah. It's not aerodynamic at all. This shit's gonna get caught in that.
No, he looks like a Honda. Like, what if one of those rivets pop? Then does the whole
and Ezra Miller is just obnoxious.
He's the worst.
Barry Allen's not my Flash. I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he was like the comic relief part of any Justice League. He's a forensic cop guy, which to me just screams humorless. So having him be the funny one is weird.
So I'll be honest with you, and this is going to come up later in the show as we talk about your current work on Young Justice, where I have many, many questions, 7 questions. I don't know the lineage of Flash. I mean, I like why is Barry different than Wally? Barry's not a West. The rest are Wests. I don't understand. I never read Flash.
Barry marries Iris West.
Okay.
So Barry is Wally's uncle. And they just happen to have the same thing happen to them. They both got hit by lightning and splashed with chemicals to gain super speed.
So is Barry
again?
Is Barry the Golden Age Flash, or is
Barry's the Silver Age Flash. Jay Garrick is the Golden Age Flash. He's the one with the hubcap. Hubcap.
Yes.
Helmet. That was hard to say.
Yeah, it was. It was hard to listen to. So Barry in standard DC chronology, which is always problematic, is older than Wally.
Yes.
So Wally at one point was Kid Flash.
Yes.
And then
Barry's the one who died in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths by racing.
But your Flash
time or something.
Whatever.
He's the famous George Perez panels where he disintegrates into a skeleton.
Sure. So in comics, though, if you were just reading comics, it went straight from Jay Garrick to Barry Allen, or did it go to Wally West and then back to Barry Allen?
No, Barry's Silver Age, and then Wally took over after Crisis.
Marty, angry I asked that question.
And that was Mark Waid's famous turn.
So is
and then at some point after they had the rebirth, reborning, whatever, they had Green Arrow, then they had Green Lantern, then they decided Flash to come back because the world was clamoring for Barry Allen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wally's my guy.
But is that just because
you named Wally West? Well, Wally after Wally West.
My God,
that'd be stupid.
You're as bad as Mitch Garrett's. So,
wasn't a human being.
Okay, so Wally West wasn't a character until like the 80s?
He wasn't the Flash until, like 87.
Okay, all right. So I guess, whatever, doesn't matter. So is Impulse, this isn't one of my questions, but let's jump ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So is Impulse a West or an Allen or a neither?
He is, I forget which generation. He's a grandchild of the West, the Allen West, so Barry and Iris.
Okay.
So he was born in the future and raised in virtual reality. So in physical, like calendar years, he's like 3, but because of his super speed, he looks like he's 16.
Is that why he's like the Beast Boy of Young Justice? He's so naive and childlike. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that was fascinating.
Loves Animal Crossing.
Yes, totally. I'm going to read these just because I solicited them from the 2 retailers that have supported our show, and they were nice enough to send me long texts back. So let me take us out of this question, although it's still DC centric, and just give me a few minutes here. So DC Comics recently split from Diamond. On a show maybe a month or 2 ago, we had Corey from Cap Comics on. And my uneducated opinion was having a monopoly is a problem. Sorry, God damn. Having a monopoly is I cursed. Having a monopoly is a problem in any industry. Yeah, is a problem in any industry. But then Corey was telling me like, no, they like having just one place to order, right? It was easy. It was beneficial. It was simple. It was easy. Every month is the same. It made workflow easier, I think, is kind of the way it was going. But recently DC Comics split from Diamond. I don't know the reason. I assume it was AT&T. Someone from
AT&T. I don't know anybody does.
I haven't heard anything. I feel like somebody from corporate just realized like, oh, there's only one company that puts out these books. So basically, the two new distributors that DC is using, part of the problem is they are also retailers. So I think a lot of what's going on is stores now have to order from potential competition to get their books. So I reached out to Corey from Cab Comics and Mike Banks from Samurai Comics to get their opinions on this. And they were nice enough to send them, and they were very well written. So I feel like it would be a jerk of me not to read it on the show, since I'm the one who solicited it. So again, DC Comics split from Diamond. DC Comics are now out on Tuesdays. Every other comic comes out on Wednesday. So this is from Mike Banks, owner of Samurai Comics, 3 stores in Arizona. He says, ultimately, I'm in the business of selling comics. So while there are a lot of things about DC's decision regarding their distribution I'm concerned about, I'm not going to do anything drastic like stop carrying their books. DC has produced some of our best-selling comics over the last year and has done a great job appealing to a wide range of fans. Their young readers and teen books have been great for us in introducing new comics to readers, and Black Label has pushed the envelope and allows creators to tell edgier stories. Coming out of the shutdown, DC extended returnability to retailers. That just means that they can order more books and return what doesn't sell. So it allows them to order more copies than they otherwise would have, which leads to more sales. So there's a lot to like about DC. I know a lot of the people who work there. They're all every bit as passionate about comics as we are. He says, do I love this decision? No. My costs go up. I pay more in shipping. Processing now takes more time. Distributor is now an online competitor. The Tuesday on sale date logistically is hard to do. He mentioned that sometimes they get their comics Tuesday afternoon at like 2, and the on sale date is Tuesday. So so those comics might not even go on sale till like 5 or 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. So why not just make them on sale on Wednesday? But that's what I'm saying. That's not what he's saying. But I've also talked to Corey at Cab Comics. He says sometimes he gets his Tuesday comics for DC on Friday the week before. Sometimes he'll get them like 5 days early or 4 days early. So this is from Corey at Cab. When DC offered our store the opportunity to purchase from Lunar, which is one of their distributors, we went for it. Similar prices, same ability to return any old unsold comics is a good incentive. But the most important thing is keeping our customers reading. It's always our priority. While Diamond was temporarily closed, we utilized a Random House account to restock and order DC graphic novels. It helped to meet customer needs during the quarantine period. We continued to use Lunar after Diamond made their comeback. When other stores chose to abandon the other distributor, we chose to use both. For Cab, it wasn't a problem to set up an account. We sell board games. We use other distributors for that. But basically, bottom line is when a customer wants a new book from DC Comics, we get that book into their hands. It's just that simple. It's not worth our customers' time or money to dwell on what is happening behind the scenes. They want to read new available comics, and we will get it to them. So I think that's the point is they're not – DC could do anything, and these stores are still going to sell DC Comics because I think right now DC Comics – they're riding high right now. So I think stores are happy to do whatever it takes, even if they're extra hoops. That's the gist I get out of it. But it does sound like it's more of a pain in the ass. It's not easier, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like obviously these kind of decisions are way above our
right. Right.
Smarter people with access to all of the numbers are making these decisions.
Right.
And I don't think any decision is being made out of like spite or malice. there's nothing here to actively do anything bad or wrong. I don't know. It's the larger entities like Marvel, like DC, who are just subsidiaries,
bigger
giant companies,
right?
Who both have their own print publishing divisions. I don't know. I don't understand why they can't ship directly. I don't know why there has to be a middleman. There has to be some advantage somewhere, or they wouldn't be doing it. But
yeah.
I don't know. Just in my itty bitty freelance artist brain, it makes sense to me that why can't they just send stuff right out from?
Well, because then I think they have to have their own. Well, first of all, I think the problem is a printer does not want to send out boxes to 200 different accounts. Like I get my comps. I think you get we get our comps straight from the printer. It's a box that comes from the printer. It either has like 1 or 2 logos on it, but my comps come from the printer. I assume yours do as well. We both get image comps, but I'm sure that printer also, they're not a distributor. Like they probably don't want to ship to 200 different retail stores. So then it's like, so then you're like, are we going to ship everything back to DC and then have DC ship out to 200 stores?
I mean, if circumstances
subcontracting
were similar with corporate ownership, like 25 years ago, I would say, oh, well, why doesn't AT&T just buy the printer? Warner Brothers obviously just prints massive amounts of stuff. It makes sense. It's going to pay for itself pretty fast. But I mean, it's 2020 and print ain't print anymore.
No, but you're right. It would make sense to buy the printer, buy the distributor, give your discount.
Yeah, just
whatever.
Fold everything. Hey, you're printing, the Aquaman number 70 in the same place that you're printing all of the hardcover, like art of Prisoner of Azkaban books.
True that. All right, so neither of us know anything about comic distribution or owning a comic book store or what goes into all these decisions. Like I said, I just wanted to. I didn't want to solicit these answers and have these. I thought I would get it
was nice.
I thought I would get like a 1-line text back, and both of them sent me paragraphs. So I felt like I owed it to these two great stores.
We really appreciate it, Mike.
We do.
We do. A nice thing.
Right. So before we jump into the second half of the show, which is all about Young Justice, I need another Jason Momoa. So let's take our break. Yeah. Sorry, Jason Momoa. Jeez. I'm the worst. I'll be right back.
I'll be right here.
I wouldn't mute my mic, but I think like the sound of the ice clinking and might be
it's nice.
So yeah, we'll come back to talk about Young Justice. If anyone watches this and they have any questions, they can post them in the YouTube comments. Oh, my foot.
Oh, we're on YouTube. I feel like I should keep talking, but I don't think I will. I'm gonna try to find the YouTube Tubi so I can see questions as well. Should they exist? Oh yay! Okay, I can see it. I'm gonna figure out how to share this. I don't know how to tweet this out.
Tweet what out?
The link.
Retweet the newest Tick Show link.
Oh.
Retweet the newest Tig Show tweet.
Okay.
Yep, has a link in there.
There's 3 watching. If you're watching and I'm watching, then there's one other person.
No, I'm not watching the YouTube feed.
Oh, I'm watching. So there's 2 other people. That's
you have
twice as many as I thought.
You have the YouTube feed up on the other. See, now you're making it seem like we're douchebags. So I gotta edit that out.
Oh no, we're not. But no, I wouldn't say douchebags.
It is 9:53 a.m. on a Friday. Man, gin and juice is the bomb. It's so much better than just like a vodka orange juice. You know, it's so much better than a screwdriver. It's so great. I love it.
I agree.
I don't know if my gout loves it, but I'm loving it.
You can't say that. Now we have to pay McDonald's.
I should name my gout something. So when it flares up, I'll be like, "Oh, Becky's back." That's why I'm limping.
Happy news.
Oh wait, are we back?
I have something happy. My stepmom's biopsy on her. What?
Oh, I was going to say,
shushing me.
I was going to say, let me just make sure that we're back. So when I edit the audio version, we're back.
We're back, aren't we?
We're back. Scott, I've been really dying to hear about your stepmom's biopsy.
Yeah, she's been battling breast cancer for the last year, and they found something else the last time through after she completed everything on the first round. So the biopsy results came back negative today. So.
Excellent.
Woohoo!
I did not know that was a battle that your family was fighting. I did not know that for the last year.
Yeah, so
okay. Cheers.
Yay.
Cheers to your Becky. That's not a painful foot. Luke Winsell says Bart Allen is Barry's grandson.
Just grandson?
So he's not a West, he's an Allen.
Sure.
So Barry and Iris, they make love, and then they have a child, and then they have a child, and it's Bart, which makes sense. Bartholomew was named after Barry. It makes sense.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
I don't know anything about the child then.
Right.
Does the middle generation have super speed, or
maybe
does it skip?
Maybe it's like alcoholism.
Palpatine.
Yes, it's like alcoholism. It skips a generation.
Oh, or baldness.
You're right. All that good stuff. So we're back officially. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, Wednesday. I wrote these notes for a Wednesday podcast. So I was listening to a podcast on Wednesday, and they were discussing how people that say the phrase "they tell it like it is" are usually like huge buttholes. But here I am, the Tornado Twins. Good Lord, Luke just jumped back in. The kids, Barry's parents, and Barry's children and Bart's parents are called the Tornado Twins.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks, Luke. People who tell it like it is are buttholes, but I'm here to tell it like it is, and I might be biased, but I think you may have been destined to draw this book, Young Justice. Your work on it, I think, I will say, I when I planned this episode, I didn't realize that you had only 7 pages. I thought you drew the majority of this issue when I decided to do this episode. But I'm also, my timeline's confused because I've seen so much of your work in later issues because the delay, you drew issue 15 a long time ago.
Yeah.
In reality. So, so anyways, I wanted to talk to you about Young Justice. I got some questions. Young Justice didn't start. I thought Young Justice had been around forever. It didn't start until
it's weird to talk about.
Yeah, whatever.
Like every time I see myself, I see I see this.
The opposite of Young?
Yeah. Like I am not the one who should be drawing Young Justice.
Right. So I was
drawing Old Man Logan or something.
I was shocked you should. I was shocked to find out that Young Justice didn't start until 98. So it was started on when I came back to comics because I left comics for several years. So it must have been when I was back in comics that I picked up the Young Justice, The Secret, which is apparently it was the first Young Justice book. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a Young Justice one shot. Yeah, she's like a ghost lady, and they come together to save her from the DEO.
Okay.
I think it was drawn by Todd Knock.
A Todd Knock book?
Todd Knock, yes. Who I've seen at many shows in the last couple of years, and he always dresses like Peter Parker from Spider-Verse. He looks just like him, so it makes sense. But it is weird to see like a comic pro in constant cosplay.
Like he dresses like Peter Parker from Spider-Verse.
Yeah, so he's got
he's got like a Spider-Man costume and sweatpants on.
Yeah, yes, sweatpants, mismatched shoes. He's got the green military jacket over it. He's got the hoodie on. Yeah, he's actually looks just like him. It's kind of funny. So anyways, so that's my history of Young Justice. Is apparently I picked up the very first appearance of Young Justice and the second appearance of Young Justice, or the two Young Justice appearances I have. But what's your history? What's your personal Scott Godlewski history with Young Justice?
It's really sparse.
Well, like everything else.
Disappointingly. I feel like there was a Young Justice tie-in book at some point. Like it had I can see like a Jay Lee cover, which I thought was totally sort of weird.
Yeah.
For something like that.
Doesn't fit.
What was it for? I don't remember. It was some Superman tie-in, I'm sure. Anyhow, that's probably the only Young Justice issue I ever bought. I mean, I was aware of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, I was a huge Flash guy, so
right.
I'm very familiar with Impulse. Growing up, Tim Drake was my Robin.
Oh, you mean Drake?
What? Drake.
You mean Drake?
Tim Drake. Well, he's Drake now.
Right.
But he was Robin.
Right. Right. Well, he's Drake. He's Drake now because a 9-year-old came and took his name.
Superboy. The Death of Superman stuff was right in my
right.
It was right at the peak of my probably enthusiasm for superhero books.
Okay, so
I'm familiar with Superboy very much still.
So the Superboy I just read in issue 15 is the clone Superboy from the 4 Supermen. He's the Tom Grummett Superboy.
He is.
Jesus, clone.
Man, I confess that I don't know where he's from. There's been so much, especially in the last like 10 years, sort of world shifting and time moving sort of stuff. Right. Because he and Superman just met for the first time in Action Comics. That came out this month, I think.
See, this is why I think all comics should be out of continuity and every series should be its own.
So I don't know if he's a multiverse version.
Okay. All right. All right.
I could ask.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me. I enjoy it.
Yeah. So what's your during all this, when you post on Twitter or even before you got this gig, I remember you digging Impulse. So what's your history with these characters, with Wally, with Impulse? I guess I'm asking is, how does someone become a fan of a comic book where the main character is a speedster? I find it shocking. I find it shocking that people are fans of the Flash. Although I watch the Flash TV show, but all he does is run fast and then go back in time and mess things up and then run fast again. Like he doesn't have he doesn't have multiple powers. He's not Superman. He can just run fast. So my question is, I don't want to get into that. What's your personal history with these characters? Why the Flash? Why is Impulse important? What comics did you read at the time? What got you started on this?
I think Flash was the first DC book I ever read. So I got into comics with X-Men. So I was a Jim Lee guy.
Sure.
Buying X-Men. By the time I could buy it currently, like with the new issues, it was Andy Kubert. So Image was already a thing.
Right.
So I could go buy Wildcats and that sort of stuff. But I like the thing that Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman don't have is the legacy aspect. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but Flash, Green Lantern, who else? Like Blue Beetle are sort of ideas or identities, right? So characters inside of those costumes can grow and age with the readers.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. So yeah, I bought I think Flash Annual number 8 was my first Flash book. And then I went to the regular Flash series from that. It felt different than other things. It's the Flash books in particular are very coming from X-Men, which is
right.
Sort of a soap opera-y and family oriented. That's what Flash is.
Okay.
The whole Flash universe is all like X-Men, like Star Wars. It's all about this group of people. Yeah, so I remember buying Flash 94, which was Impulse's first appearance, and him being a part of stuff. And gosh, I read it up until 150 something consistently.
Were those
a good several years?
Were those Mike Ringo issues, or were those
the 90s? When I say 90s, like the number 90s issues,
right?
And Sal LaRocca was on for a while. It's not Carlos Pacheco. I get him. And Oscar Jimenez was on for a while. I really enjoyed him.
Okay.
So yeah, it's fun. I like the book. I like Flash. I like the creativity around the power set of Flash. Just having to do different things and him being using ingenuity and creativity to do different things. And so you have the writers who don't just I can't just have him run really fast and punch the bad guy and have the issue be over all the time.
Right.
So what are we going to do?
Yeah, I guess it does.
So yeah, you read up on the science. I mean, there's he runs really fast. It's going to create a vacuum so he can carry things with him. And sort of the draft, phasing through material and speed with space and time, and it's just fun stuff. I like it.
All right. And so how old were you at this point? How old were you when Flash 9 or Impulse 94 came out?
12 maybe.
Okay. So is that sweet spot for you?
13.
Yeah. Right. So when I was that age, it was X-Men for me, Excalibur, that kind of thing. I get it. Yeah, I get it. My love for that Captain Britain outfit will never change. It's probably your appreciation for Impulse.
Yeah, it's right there. It's a funner, more dynamic version of the Daredevil costume, where it's great, but it's one note. I think the Flash costume is the best designed superhero comics for sure.
The red with the gold earpiece. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So this is a double tiered question. So on Mondays, this past Monday, you did a live video of you inking a panel, and it was Spoiler and Drake, Tim Drake. But during that video, you mentioned the distinct features you use in your approach to each character. Like you talked about, like Impulse should have a rounded chin. So what's your approach to drawing younger characters? How much thought do you put into beforehand? Like, is it because Impulse should be younger and less like less kind of street level fisticuffs than Drake, that he gets the rounder chin? Or what's your approach to drawing these characters? Is it just watching how other dudes draw them, or do you even know the age of these characters? Is that part of this? Like, is Impulse younger than Drake and younger than Spoiler?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I don't know if Tim and Stephanie or Cassie are. I don't think they're 18, but I don't think they're like 13, 14. Probably around 16,
right.
17. Old enough to drive.
Okay. Right.
But like Connor at the beginning of the new Young Justice series, they find he's been trapped in Gem World for a good long time, and he's a young adult now, so he's not a teenager anymore. So he's gonna be. I tried to draw him a little taller, a little more cut, more adultish. He's got the stubble.
Right. Less like less baby fat, less.
Yeah, that's what Impulse is for sure. He's I think of him more as runty, sort of the small one. He's the Michelangelo.
All right. Fancy. All right.
And not the sculptor, because I'm not a pretentious.
Right. No. Oh, you're talking about the Ninja Turtles.
Elitist. The Ninja Turtles.
Right, but aren't the Ninja Turtles all twins? Aren't they all the same age?
I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that Michelangelo is the youngest. It was my best piece of like trivia. Did you know Michelangelo is the youngest Ninja Turtle?
Wow. I don't even know what to do with that.
No.
Okay, so then that kind of goes into my question here about reference for. There's a lot of characters, especially in issue 15. Obviously, I haven't read past that.
Yeah.
But issue 15, you're brought in on this issue, and your the first pages you drew for this issue, at least the first pages that show up chronologically, is a double page spread with like 10 Young Justice Leaguers in there. Like,
yeah. It was the end of an arc,
right,
where the Young Justice teamed up with the Wonder Twins. We had
Naomi,
Aqualad, Sideways,
Naomi
Arrowette was back, Naomi
right.
was there, Spoiler, everybody.
So every
joke,
DC,
it was 12
right.
to 15 characters, something like that.
So, I mean, when you're drawing that, do you have the time to actually consciously, as you approach each character, think about like their age, their power set? This is how their face should be shaped? Or are you just looking at the reference being like, well, this is how this guy draws Naomi and she's fairly new, so I'm going to go off how he draws her, that sort of thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of that, sure. Especially being the new guy, kind of just being thrown in the deep end right away.
Yeah.
I didn't have any time to get to know anybody. But by now, I mean, I'm drawing issue 18 right now. So you've got an idea of who everybody is, personality types. So you sort of you start to just have an intuitive sort of understanding what the body language should be, or if somebody's not speaking but they're in the panel, just kind of what they should be doing in the background.
Yeah, I can't.
But it's a lot. It's a lot, sure.
It was a lot. Like, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of characters,
but not in a bad way.
Yeah,
it's like, because I really like the book. I really like the tone. I think I feel like I'm finally doing something like that I could give to my kids, and they would enjoy. So that feels nice.
Yeah.
And also, so I like the book. I like the characters. I like the team I'm working with. But also, I've said it and I'll keep saying it, is the fan base is amazing. They're so nice and enthusiastic and welcoming. They're super serious about these characters and this world, and
right.
And I have it's been really nice to be sort of welcomed, just to be made a part of what they're into. It's lovely.
Yeah, when I mentioned earlier that you really seem to be coming into your own on this book, I think two things. One, these characters lend themselves to your cartoonish, your more cartoony style of drawing. Like, you did couple issues of Batgirl that kind of go that way, but you're really embracing it now. And also the artist before you, John Timms. I opened the issue, and you've talked about this a little bit on Twitter, but when I opened the issue and I saw that your pages took over to a certain thing, when I was just reading it and I got to that double H spread, it actually took me a second to realize, like, oh, this is where Scott takes over. So you did kind of incorporate a little bit of John's style, and I wonder if that was, did it allow you
maybe? I mean, I had been looking at a lot of it for sure.
Right.
They sent me all of the issues leading up to it. So, like Pat Gleason had done the first handful, then John took over, and who I think is just perfect for that book. Perfect. So, I don't. So yeah, there was probably, if there's influence from him, it's probably 10% purposeful.
Right.
And the rest is just kind of simple.
Well, does it?
But I think a big contributing factor to that is going to be Gabe Eltape.
Right.
Keeping that
consistency. Yeah. I've always thought that your best work is when you're more cartoonish. Like, I own a lot of your originals from when you and I first met, and I could get them for super cheap. So I own a bunch of your originals from earlier in your career where you cartooned more. And then I don't know if it's a conscious choice or just the way things shifted. Maybe you tried to go to a more universal style, and now you're being more that animated cartoony style. And I wonder if, like, maybe you saw John did this, and so you can lean into it because that's what they want you to do. That's what the book lends itself to, is this cartoonish style that fits you so great.
It's what I always want to do. It's always what I wished I did more of. Like, as much as I like Batman and I like Batwoman and Green Lantern, and even Superman to a degree, it doesn't have the sort of the bouncy, sort of adventurous tone that something like this does. And that's why, like, I had done a couple issues of Batgirl and Super Sons, and up until Young Justice, I would tell you that those were the most fun books that I've ever worked on, just because I liked the material and the tone of it so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. You like when I draw comic characters, I like to draw big, hulking, big characters. It kind of fits my style. It's what I like to draw. But you excel at these kind of younger, slighter. I'm trying to think of it. Like you're not drawing giant like Bruce Timm versions of these characters. You're drawing slender.
It always feels weird when I do that for something.
Right.
When it's a character that's
just
like a mountain.
I love it. Yeah. I could never, I mean, not that I would ever be hired to, but I would have a hard time drawing like an impulse because I'm so used to just like hiding all of my artistic
inadequacies.
Yes. With just like muscle mass, right? Like just overwhelming power, like a Kirby thing, just overwhelming power. Whereas you seem to excel at it. So that's why I think maybe I really love what you've been doing the last couple of months. It seems you're hitting your sweet spot. So my next question is, I imagine a team book is much more difficult. You talked the other week about how time-wise it doesn't seem to be taking much more time, but you also have you're also working on a book where over the course of a page you might have 10 to 12 people talking. You might have like 25 word balloons in a page.
There's okay, I know where you're going.
So I'm just saying, how much more is that? Is that just an extra thing you have to calculate? Is it like you got to give extra space, extra thought to that? Because it really did. Even in issue 15, where maybe you were dropped in and you were brought in as the guy to finish the issue, and you didn't have time to think about everything. The letterer, I don't have the letters, I don't have the issue in front of me. I'm sorry, whoever lettered that book, but they do a great job. Like it doesn't seem like it's covering up too much artwork. It seems like everyone is cognizant of this. Maybe it's because it's a Bendis book. Maybe it's just because they're professionals. You all are professionals. But do you approach these pages differently than you did with like a Copperhead issue or with obviously Copperhead issue because it was written afterwards script wise? But I mean, then you would like a Superman fill-in or something like that. You're more cognizant of the dialogue in a book like this?
Oh yeah. I had never you give word balloons and stuff sort of just a rough nod, or at least I did. Just in previous projects. But I actually letter pages now.
Yeah, you're fucking
myself, and I'd never show them to anybody. I would never certainly never show them to the letterer. You know,
right? I've seen them though. They're pretty good.
But my thinking is, I think Grant Morrison it does the same thing in a sense where he thumbnails an issue when he writes it, so he'll draw it out with the idea of if a novice like me can make it work, then a professional is going to be able to just
it shouldn't be too much. Like don't bitch about
and I don't want to put anybody in a bind, so I don't want to turn in final artwork that the letterer has a hard time working around, or Brian and David are going to have to cut dialogue on something because it just doesn't fit in the place that I left for. So and a page, I think the common understanding among our ilk is that the layouts are the most important part, right? Like I think the battle is won and lost in the layouts. It's certainly the most important part. It takes the least amount of time, but it is the most important part.
Sure. I don't know. I have to figure out a way to get my head wrapped around that it takes the least amount of time and the least amount of labor, but it's the most important. Like it's like measure twice, cut once. I get
that's exactly what it is.
I get it, but I don't like to hear talented creators say that because that implies. I guess that's the. I hate the term. Layouts is the artistry, and then penciling and inking is the craft. So if you're good at layouts, you can then follow it up with the the meat and potatoes. But your broth is set, or your recipe is set before that.
Yeah, I suppose it's. I don't know a good analogy or metaphor. It's like an architect,
Yeah.
You're never going to see the plans for the house, but it's only going to be as good as whatever that is.
Yeah, I get that. All right, that makes sense.
I don't know. It's you can do as much fancy line work as you want. You can have as many striking figures.
Splat.
But if the page doesn't play,
it
doesn't matter. It's okay. I think I made a list somewhere, and forgive me, I don't have it in front of me. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Yes.
So it's this balance with layout. I have two questions. Is this the best way to tell the story, and is it the most dynamic way? And in finding the highest percentage of compromise between those two questions is where you get the best pages.
Okay, you mentioned earlier, I got one more question, but I want to call back to something you mentioned earlier. You talked about all these characters speaking, but then if a character's in the background, how should they act, etc. This kind of goes into my last question. Is that in the script? So if you have 3 characters talking, does the script say 7 characters are in the panel? Or
sometimes,
do you just
occasionally,
or do you just want to continue storytelling? So it would make sense that in the background, Teen Lantern's there because it would just make sense story-wise.
Occasionally it's there. Probably most of the time, if it's not specifically requested, just for labor reasons, I would choose to ignore it. But if you're also going to have if you've got 3 characters talking in one panel, and then there's another character introduced speaking to those 3 people in the next panel, I might include that character here, just maybe approaching or hanging out or interacting somehow.
Okay, one last question then, and it kind of all ties together. As you get more used to working on the big 2 books, you've been doing it for now, 4 or 5 years. You've been doing big 2 books now. How comfortable have you gotten to sort of like tossing out script direction and drawing what you think is important in that? And does working with someone like Brian Michael Bendis and David Walker, does that put you on pause? Do you want to, like, they're shepherding an entire line essentially of young DC characters. DC has a thing coming up, Generation 5. Maybe that's when you get a script, do you feel comfortable going off script, or you never felt comfortable going off script with description? So you're just kind of toeing the line, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I've never I've never been a guy that's gone off script. I just wonder if maybe you started feeling comfortable doing something like that, and then now it's like, oh, now I'm working with these guys, and these guys are setting the standard, so now I got to rein myself in. So I guess I'm asking: do you feel more freedom, or do you feel more responsibility? Okay. Sorry.
I don't know that it's a question of freedom or responsibility. I've been really lucky, and I imagine that the majority of working pros are like this, where the writer will go out of their way to make it known that the word part and the idea part is theirs, but the presentation part is mine. So at the beginning of every issue, David and Brian write it into the script. They're like, we're telling you a story so you can tell a story.
Right.
This is all of this stuff is just a guide to do what you're going to do. So if you can think of a better way, we're totally open to it. I've done 53 pages of Young Justice so far, and I've added one panel to one page, just sort of just a beat moment.
Right.
But that's it. I haven't felt the need to just. I haven't felt like something's not working as written,
Right.
or I can't make it work as written.
But you feel like for people who listen to the podcast who might want to make comics, you do feel empowered. You just don't feel the need that you don't think it's necessary.
Brian, David, and every part of editorial make it very clear to everybody on the team that input is welcome and it'll be heard. Yeah, and the best ideas from anybody are always going to win out.
Cool. Yeah, and then so for people that are listening to this, or maybe they haven't followed our work or your work for very long. When this is all said and done, this should be your longest run of DC work, right?
I hope so.
Right.
I'm on through, I think 21 is going to be the end of this particular collection.
Right.
I think at some point when we were making our goals for 2020, I wanted to do 160 pages.
Yeah.
This year. I think at this point in the calendar year, I might be a little bit behind schedule on that. But in the second half, I hope to make that up. I would like to do 11 consecutive issues, at least, of this. And that would make it the longest consecutive run on anything that I've ever done.
Yeah, it's your work keeps getting like, I don't know how to phrase it. Like even if we weren't friends, I've been a fan of your work for a long time, but then it just keeps getting better. Like you'll send me an email or you'll post something on Twitter and I'm like, holy shit. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Like I color, like with the book I work on, I'll color a cover and I'll put it out there on Twitter. It's my favorite cover so far. And that's not because of me. It's just the book is ramping up. It's my favorite cover. When you post things on Twitter, it's like, oh, that's my favorite panel he's done so far. So it's just like ramping up. It's ramping up. I'm excited for you.
That's the minimum you hope for. It's like an artist, though, right?
Right.
Whatever I'm doing right now should be incrementally better than what I just did.
Yes.
Even if you're not happy with it, even if you're only happy with
right. Well,
20% of it.
But I think the thing that's happening, the magic maybe that's happening is you're getting better, but you're also, because you're on a team book where everything has to be so jam-packed, is that you're not having like a bummer of an issue. Like you're not having bottle episodes of issues. You're not having like, let's calm it down for an issue. Let's like make it lame. Let's do a whole talking issue. It's always ramping up.
That is one of the benefits of a superhero team book, is that you only get the superhero stuff because they're doing the dinner party, having coffee with friends stuff in the solo book.
Right. Like Claremont said that. You mentioned the term. It's like or you mentioned earlier, it's like a soap opera almost. The old X-Men was kind of like a soap opera, but it was also a team book. So there would always be a good 10 pages per issue of action. And you don't always get that in a solo book or a indie crime book or something like that. You don't always get those 10 pages of action.
Yeah, that's the weird thing too, is that I guess I was thinking about it when I started drawing 18. There is there was a page where one character like physically hit another character, and I was thinking over the course of my 50 pages so far that it had only happened on one other page where a punch was thrown. Right. But I didn't feel any of it. I never felt like there wasn't superhero stuff happening.
Yeah.
Because nobody's wearing civvies and walking around and getting coffee and talking to
Yeah. And even if people are talking, they might be talking while they're flying, so that becomes a action panel or something like that.
There aren't any panels set in the Gotham Police Department where I can draw a bunch of desks and people in ties talking to each other.
I've talked about this on this podcast before, but I once got a gig where I drew an issue and it was 22 pages of two dudes at a diner table. So it's not that when you're drawing Young Justice.
Yeah. That's where you just do 22 full-page spreads. You just have the dudes at the bottom and the word balloons.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that's kind of it. I don't have any other questions other than I'm super proud of you. I always have been, but the work I've seen that you send on an email or what you post on Twitter, and then what I read the other day, like it's great. So I feel like you're in a DC universe style book that fits you to a T. And I encourage you to get more cartoon, get more stylistic.
Yeah, I would like to keep pushing that way.
Get loosey goosey. Yeah.
This was super weird. So thanks.
What was super weird? The 9 a.m. podcast? Interviewing you on your own podcast?
I don't like talking about me. It's like I hardly like talking at all, and my least favorite thing to talk about.
Right. You don't like talking at all, but you co-host a weekly podcast. And then you don't like talking about yourself at all, but you co-host a weekly podcast. Yeah. All right. Well,
if I wasn't doing it with you, I would.
That's what everyone says. Yeah. Cool. I like the haircut. I like the haircut. I like the beard. I can't tell if you're going to go arm wrestle somebody or if you're going to go draw a comic book page. You got a certain look going on. I dig it.
I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, who knows? You're in a child's bedroom. I'm in a woman's apartment. Who knows what's happening? Arm wrestling's
not a thing anymore, is it? It's the slap fighting thing.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, slap fighting's a thing, but arm wrestling's a thing. You should, if you don't follow him on Twitter, Nick Batara, comic book artist Nick Batara, is also a ranked amateur arm wrestling dude. When I say ranked, I'm lying. I don't know. He could be the top 10. He could be the top 400. I don't know. But I know that he does like arm wrestling like things. Like, we have a drink and draw. He has an arm wrestling meetup where they have a table and they arm wrestle. So shout out to him. Cool. So be sure to add Young Justice and Family Tree, humble brag, to your list. Last week we had, I try to tell people about how great the comics community is in Arizona. Last week we had a John Layman comic come out, a Mitch Garrett's comic come out, a Scott Godleski comic come out, I Colored Family Tree, that came out last week. I'm sure Brian Miller, who colors half of DC's lineup, had a couple.
He had something.
Jay Photos, I'm sure, who colors half of IDW stuff. I'm sure he had something coming out. So last week was a big week for Arizona comic creators. So just great. I'm glad that we could do this. I was bummed when we couldn't record at night, but I think it worked out. Recording in the morning. I'm morning drunk. It's 10:30. I have a solid buzz going on. The gout in my foot doesn't hurt nearly as much. I already emailed my bosses and said, "Oh, you'll get your pages on Monday or Tuesday," because I'm not working today. Who knows what I'm going to do today? Shirt's going to come off. Shirt's coming off. Pants might be coming off. Might be patio day. Who knows? I might get tanned somewhere today that I've never been tanned in my life.
I don't believe for a second that you tan.
Look at my arms.
I think you just burn.
Look at those freckles. I get more freckles. Look at that. That's
Look
exactly
at all that melanoma.
And then I bring down my thing to my red face. You know what? Not everyone watches this on video, so now I got to edit things out. Awesome. Scott, thank you for being our guest today on your own podcast and talking about Young Justice. It's a great book.
Yeah.
Everyone should read it.
I hope maybe somebody that accidentally sees this will go buy it.
That's right. If you stumble across this, go buy it. We don't really have any drinks to rate today, except the gin and juice is far superior to the screwdriver. There's got to be a name for it. The Jason Mimosa. Get it? I feel like we need a third ingredient to really call it a Jason Mimosa. So maybe maybe like a black currant or like a. I say that because of the tattoos. He has all those dark tattoos. So maybe something to throw into this to make it like a little spicier or a little. He's so sexy. So like a little, how do you sexy up a gin and orange juice?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Wow.
We'll workshop this.
Sriracha, like a Red Devil. Give me something. Give me some hot sauce. Give me something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'll work on it. And then we'll talk again next week.
It's not hot. It's not hot sauce though.
No. You don't think so? Sexy. All right. Bring us home, buddy. Do what you do.
All right. Yeah. Bye, Scott.
Goodbye, Scott.
Bye, me.
TigShow.com. Young Justice. Family Tree. Add them to your subscribed list. I always forget I got to